right, awesome. Well, hey, I'm Lisa Leath. I'm host of HR Nightmares, a YouTube channel and podcast with Leath HR Group. HR Nightmares, we just want folks to wake up from their own HR nightmares with some realistic advice. We do business in a legalistic, complicated environment, and the whole point of this show is really to get the help of HR experts and break down real work problems with real talk and a little bit of humor. So, since this is our first episode, I really want the Leath HR Group team to introduce themselves. Like, why the heck would listeners want to listen to what we have to say? What kind of HR experts exactly do we have on this Leath HR Group team? And what kind of knowledge are you about to drop on our audience with this and every episode? So, I guess, Amy, let's start with you.
All right. Well, I am Amy Conway. I am a former corporate America dropout. I worked for Nordstrom for about 18 years. And most recently, I was the HR director. So I saw it all. There is nothing that shocks me, nothing that surprises me after working with and being responsible for 8,000 lives.
Yeah.
I've just,
oh my God,
everything under the sun has happened. So I now spend my days as a leadership coach and as an HR consultant with Leath HR and have my own podcast. And I'm just kind of a lifestyle entrepreneur doing all kinds of things now.
All right, awesome. Beth?
I'm Beth Looney. I've been with Lisa for 2.5 years already. Crazy.
Yes, it is.
I've done a lot in my career in terms of HR. I've been an HR director at several companies, just a variety of business sectors. But I think the most, the best experience I had was owning my own business. I owned my own business with my now ex-husband. It was a environmental consulting firm, and we were international, and so it was like everything was thrown at us all the time. And I cared so much about the employees that even after I got divorced, I stayed there for 4 more years.
Oh my God.
So I feel like if I can live through that, I can pretty much live through anything.
True that. All right, how about our resident post-millennial, Gabbi?
Yes, I am Gabbi Plumez. I have been with Leath HR for almost a year now.
That's awesome.
After graduating from UNCW, this whole HR world is new for me, but I've loved it. I'm a people person, so getting to work with businesses and people, I've grown to really love it. And just the stories and helping businesses become better and their process has really been an awesome journey. And I'm really excited to see where we go,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go last. I'm Lisa, and I am the owner of Leath HR Group. I run 2 HR-related businesses. One's an HR consulting firm, and one is an app for HR-related purposes. It's called Work Talk. I spent my corporate career. I'm also a recovering corporate HR person. Spent my corporate career in law, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and for the last 5 years, I've been working with clients across all different industries, helping them just institute commonsensical HR practices. And so that's what I'm all about, is being pragmatic and giving good advice to the clients. I'm proud to say most of them are kicking butt. Out of all 100 clients we've worked with at this point, 99% of them are growing, and I'm super happy to be a small part of their success. I know that gives you guys a lot of satisfaction too, but I really love giving people advice that makes them feel confident. And so that's really why I thought it was important for us to start HR Nightmares in the first place, is just to listen in from our audience, whether it's employees from the employee perspective, or if we've got people who are managing folks out there that want to, send HR Nightmares in to Gabbi and the Leath HR Group team, or if it's, other solid HR experts that are out there and just want to see how other people like us that work in all different industries with clients of all different sizes, how we're doing it, because we do try to stay on trend, and we're constantly benchmarking, reading. So we'll keep up with trending topics here on HR Nightmares, and the thing that I am going to absolutely love the most is just talking about audience submitted questions. So that's going to be the really, really fun part here every time we get together. So I guess, let's start off by just saying, you had an HR nightmare lately?
Yeah, and actually, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that we had a few audience reach out with some questions.
Awesome.
Yes.
We definitely got to get to that. What HR nightmare have you had lately?
know. Now that I'm like thinking about it, I'm like put on the spot. You know, I mean, I'm fairly new. I'm the newest probably to this group, right?
Yep.
As far as consultants. So I've been lucky just to be doing all the fun stuff and all the good stuff. So I haven't dealt with too many nightmares. But Beth has some
Give
good
it up.
ones.
So last summer, we had a small business, and 33% of their employees left on the same day. It was a coup. Like, they all just resigned. And it was panic. The owners were really panicked. But I felt so lucky to be there, because it's happened to me before, owning a business where people just leave en masse. And we were able to really calm them down and realize that, you know what, change, though it seems scary, it's actually a good thing. And just like looking at that from where we were before they left to where we are now, the employee satisfaction surveys are like up. They just love to be there. The culture is better. And it's like these couple of people that all decided to leave on the same day. It's actually a good thing that they left. You know, and sometimes I think owners get scared. They're like, God, what are we going to do? But it turned out to be good.
Were they just not cultural fits, or?
They had been there a long time, and I think that they just were grouchy. You know, sometimes when you just have some kind of they were really crabby. Everything that they did, they kind of like poo-pooed, and they just weren't really trying to like embrace the culture that they had wanted to grow. It was
Were
really
they
toxic.
like? Did they
It was
all
toxic.
kind of decide together
Yes.
to collectively leave?
They
Okay,
did.
so but that's a really good example of how like one person's idea can trickle to so many others, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, 33% of your workforce leaves on the same day.
On the same day.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, we got one resignation letter, and then a couple hours later, the second. And the third.
Right.
I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, brace ourselves, like buckle in, because this is going to be a long day.
Did they all leave to go to the same company?
They all left to go to do different things.
Oh.
Which is good. And it was smart, because one person actually realized that, you know, it's a small town, and you probably should not leave burning bridges. And we've contracted with that person still. So, I mean, the
Yeah.
relationship was still there. But, yeah, it was a very shocking day for sure.
Well, that sounds like it ended up being a good thing. Most of the time when three people leave on the same day in a super, super small team, and that's 30% of the staff, that's not a good thing. The owners were shocked,
Absolutely shocked.
which that should
Yeah.
like never happen.
Yeah. But that's part of the problem, and what we see all the time is just leadership is not in tune as to what is actually happening and what reality looks like for their people, and they're not talking to them the way they should be. They're not asking them the right questions to figure out how do they actually feel about the job and the company and their satisfaction, and we see that all the time.
Another thing I think that they didn't do, which I'm so happy to have like steered them into the direction that they're doing it now, is that they didn't really nip problems in the bud. You know, they're like, oh, well, we'll talk about this at the performance review. And it's like, hold on. No. Let's do it now. Let's like talk about this now. Because I think had they been more proactive in that regard, the problems wouldn't have gotten so bad, and perhaps they would have kept the people. I'm not sure, but yeah.
How often are you recommending that people are checking in with their employees just to like keep a pulse on, are they happy even outside of work?
Yeah.
I mean, what's your recommendation there?
I mean, I think it depends on your business and certainly what the job level is, right? So I think that, you know, if you're working with hourly folks that are at a lower pay grade, I think that managers need to be talking to those folks daily, weekly. I mean, that is so important. It's really hard to do, but you've got to be really in tune, and you've got to know what's going on in their life outside of work. It's more than just the workplace. All our lives are not compartmentalized, right? So if there's things affecting them at home, that whole leave it outside the door before you come in here, that doesn't exist. It's not realistic. So I think that's really important when it's hourly, when it's newer employees. That's a constant. It's every single day. I think when you get lower, to lower down the pyramid, sorry, I'm a Nordstrom girl, we had that inverted pyramid. That's like what we always said. But is more like executive level jobs. I think those are monthly conversations, monthly check-ins that are at least 15, 30-minute kind of conversations. And then, the days of annual performance reviews are done.
They're done.
That's at least got to be quarterly. I think quarterly. I think monthly for a short, quick chat for someone that's at a pretty decent senior manager type level, director level and beyond. But yeah. That's what I think.
I think one of the keys, though, is authenticity, because you can, if you are going to conduct this kind of like wellness check, how are you guys doing in your life? If it's inauthentic, I think that employees aren't going to want to give the true deal, because it's all about relationships. Everything's about relationships. And I think sometimes employees can notice when it's fake or like, oh, okay, there must be
Check
this
the
time.
box, right.
Yeah, it's the time of the
Yeah.
month for them to check the box. So I think
Yeah.
that's something to really, for people listening, that's something that to really
Yeah.
be aware of and really try to hone
Yeah.
in that skill.
Yeah, I think those like daily, weekly kind of things are more just like talking to your people in general, right? Like it doesn't have to be
Just a
approached
chit-chat,
like
right.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's more like how are things going? Oh, how asking about what's happening in their life, right? They just came back from PTO. Tell me a few things about the trip, But it's amazing how many times even those just like small opportunities go missed.
That's very true. Do you have any suggestions on keeping up with folks?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say from previous experience, working these hourly jobs, I'm fresh out of that, the side jobs in college and in high school, and like reflecting and being on the other side in the HR world and, working with people. As an employee, I did feel like I could talk to my manager when we had that relationship, when it wasn't just, oh, show up, clock out, I'm done. And I would, if anything were to come up to where it would need to, that affects my work, I would feel more comfortable to speak up. So I'm all for that. And now being on the other side to help tell people and encourage them, that's one piece of advice. It's just like, be a person and just ask, Like
I love that.
Yeah.
Be a person.
Yeah.
Be a person.
Yeah. So.
I love that.
I love it too. It's awesome too is I met Gabbi when she was working in that internship, and she had such a great relationship. She was putting in 110%, and we thought you were doing such a great job. We were like, hey, do you want to come work with us? So, the relationship with your previous boss definitely made you shine. Okay, so we had any other HR nightmares like recently? We certainly don't want to expose any of our clients here, but
Yeah.
their dirty secrets. But as Gabbi said, we had like a few people write in, and every single month, as we record a couple of episodes, we do want to encourage people that follow us on socials with both Leath HR Group or Work Talk. That you please submit confidential HR nightmares. I mean, we love this stuff. Like, we want to work through it. We want to talk through it. We've probably seen it before at least once, probably 5 times. So let's get to maybe the first one here. And this was actually from like an employee asking a question.
great.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was kind of curious, like, what kind of audience we're going to get here, but I do like the idea that we're going to get some employees, we're going to get some managers, we're going to get some HR folks to tune in and hear what some of our guests have to say as well. But okay, so this one's from an employee. So. And this is a good one because I have seen this happening a lot lately, and those folks who are listening are probably like, ooh, yeah, that's happening at my workplace. So, okay, I was offered a job at a new company for more money than I'm making now. I like where I work. I like my boss. I like my coworkers, but I have to look out for my family. Should I ask my company for more money, or is that going to put a black mark on my name if I stay? All right, what should this person do?
I think that's happening a lot. Now it
Yeah.
seems like everybody, it's the race to hire people now. And so I think people are coming more and more. But I think one thing when I read that question in advance, I think the key is if you're an employer, don't play games. Don't pay less than what they're worth. Just pay the amount that is right. And I think that we've done some comp studies recently, some compensation studies. And I think that's really key, is not to play games with your employees. And I think that they should bring up that conversation. Sometimes employers cannot pay that much, but there's other aspects of work, not just pay. And I would really encourage them to kind of amp that up. Like, hey, we've got this great work-life balance, or, we have casual Friday, or whatever it is. But I mean, I think that there's other things other than pay that keep people engaged in their job.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with Beth in the sense that if you think you should have that conversation, have that conversation. And, that fear of, what did they say, blacklisted or something, I would hope not. I mean, and if that's the case, that's giving you a sign of what kind of company you're working for. Maybe you should consider looking outside, right? So that's there's kind of a few different things going on there. I, as a former leader, I never would have missed an opportunity to talk about someone's happiness and engagement in their job. And part of that is compensation. I always welcomed the conversation. Now I worked for a corporation of 80,000 people. So we had very set ways of addressing pay. So people
more
didn't
rigid
approach
than
us.
like a
Yeah, it was
small business might
very
be a little bit more
different.
flexible.
Exactly. So it is, dependent on kind of your place of employment. Like I wasn't going to give someone a 10% raise in the middle of the year for doing the same exact job. You can always probably make more money somewhere else. That's probably true. Now there's 10 million jobs open across, there's places that are going to pay you more. So I think when she says, or he or she, kind of what should I do, I think you have to factor in there's always going to be a place that pays you more. You have to think about what are your benefits that go into that? What are some of the other compensation factors in that? What's the growth potential? When's the next time you're going to get promoted? What's the culture like, right? So it's more than just compensation. And I think that can be really hard for people because they see that bigger dollar sign and they want to jump. But, if you want to do it and you're ambitious, then go for it. But
I think that
have the conversation first.
In all the jobs that I've had, the times I can remember back, if I've chased the money, I've not necessarily always been happier.
Same.
And it's really it's eye-opening because you always think, oh, it's the money. But there's so many other factors to work to make you happy there. And I agree with what you were saying too, Amy. It's like the potential for your growth is so big. Are they going to, give you professional development opportunities? What is your kind of path? And I think that sometimes employers are forgetting about that, and that's really a key that they need to do in order to retain the people that they have.
Yeah, because if you're hoping to make a ton more money just sitting in the same job and getting like a 3 to 5% merit kind of increase every year, it's just not going to happen. So it's like it's kind of a bigger thing.
The one thing that this person said that I kind of want to revisit is like, I like my coworkers and I like my boss. Okay, well, that doesn't happen just anywhere. So,
Hello.
I guess they didn't really like tell us how much more money they were going to go make at this new place. But I mean, number one, I think we all agree they should have a conversation. One of the questions was, should I bring it up or should I just give my resignation? I think all of us can agree. If you like your boss, you trust your boss, you should go talk to your boss about it. Their hands may be tied. They may not be able to do anything, but ask. The worst they can say is no. But it's certainly right now, it always is less expensive to keep somebody. Mm-hmm. And so even if it feels like my advice to my clients is like, if it feels like a super stretch, let's say a 20% increase, and you never have ever done that for any employee before, look at this freaking talent market right now.
Yeah.
Like, you want to spend the next 6 months finding a replacement for this engineer or this videographer or this, manufacturing director. You don't want to do that. So you don't keep who you have, and you might have to stretch yourself and go a little bit outside of your comfort zone. But at the end of the day, if this is a good person you want to keep, you should really try to do it. Even if you can't make it the whole way to their new offer, try to get somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? And by the way, go get the data. Find out what is the compensation benchmark for the job that they're doing. Stop running merit increases only once a year. You got to be looking at comp 3 times a year at least right now. So make sure you're being competitive. Make sure you're paying above average for a job that you have. If you're trying to keep top talent, if you really don't care about churn in your business and you're happy to kind of just keep pumping them through, then only look at comp once a year and don't worry about merit increases, and tell your staff that they're really lucky to get a 3% raise. That's gonna really keep people around. So I would say, be active, be proactive about comp benchmarking, and make sure you do have an open door and that people trust you as a manager, so that employees like this will give you the opportunity to keep them. A lot of managers just never, they don't know their people. They don't have that rapport. Yeah. So they just, the folks just submit their resignation. You don't even get a shot. So that always sucks. All right. Any other comments on that?
No.
I want more money. Should I bring it up? Bring it up.
Yes.
Do it.
All right. Who's sick of COVID?
Like every single solitary person.
I was kind of bummed out that somebody asked about COVID, but let's go there because it is still topical, and there's lots of people out. Like 20% of the workforce is out right now. I'm dealing with it. Like, you know,
Well,
whether
it's harder
people are
than ever right
quarantining
now
or-
because people have gone back to offices. So it's like for the first, 6 to 9 months, we were kind of like, I mean, unless you're in a service-based industry where you had to be there, we left the office. But now, like, people are hybrid and going back. So
and
It is, honestly.
It's crazy.
I deal with that
Party time.
So, like, I have fractional clients, so I actually go into their offices weekly. I feel like it's all my day, every day.
School
like,
nurse.
I literally
That's what I
feel
feel
like,
like.
what's your temperature? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
too much. I can't stand it. So.
Yes, yeah.
It's a
Did you
lot.
sleep in the bed with your husband last night and he tested positive? Oh, okay.
But sometimes I also want to say, like, I am not a doctor. Like, I don't know what I'm.
right,
Yeah,
you
HR
find yourself
policies.
making medical
Yeah,
recommendations.
and I'm
You're
like,
like,
hold up.
HR.
Yeah, I am
Jeez.
HR only. I'm not a doctor.
Oh my God. All right. So this person is asking, okay, oh boy. I have a coworker whose husband tested positive, but she didn't. And she's sitting next to me at work, not wearing a mask. I'm vaccinated, but feel uncomfortable. Should she be at work? I don't want to say anything to her because she's super nice. But what if she's spreading it all around and doesn't know it?
Yeah, I mean, you know what's hard?
We all touch our heads.
I have to like remind myself on like giving advice that's like the right advice, and then my opinion,
Right, yeah.
My opinion. I mean,
Let's
the
start
thing
with our
is,
opinion.
the thing is, she shouldn't be at work. I mean, your husband, you live in the same household. I mean, kids are being quarantined from school. Like, if she shouldn't be at work, if there's potential, risk. It takes a while. She could catch it any day now. He's still contagious.
It's a known exposure.
This is not new news. Like we've been
Right. Vaccinated, not vaccinated. I mean, we all see you can still get it either way. It's, do you want your whole office to be out? So I feel bad for this employee that someone in a management level isn't like kind of managing that. Maybe they don't know.
Their
I don't
HR
know.
person should say, stay home.
Yeah.
And especially now, I mean, it seems like everyone has the remote, most people, I shouldn't say everyone, but most people have this remote capability.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that when we were all out, companies were really quick on that, cutting edge, like getting everyone up and running at home and for their home office. So for that example, stay
Yeah.
home, work from home. If you're not feeling sick, work from home.
Right,
But don't
yeah.
expose your coworkers.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard. I
That
mean, I
ain't
guess
cool.
we don't know what kind of like environment and work if there is that availability, but if there is, it's a no-brainer, right? And if there's not, I say, you're under quarantine.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Quarantine.
do you want the whole office to be out with COVID? Because that risk is just too high for me.
Well, let's add our own, let's just add whatever we want to this story. And let's say that this person brought it up to a manager and the manager was like, look, they said the husband's upstairs. It's fine. Just like it's everywhere. Get over it. So there's a sign that like maybe your core values aren't in line with, the company. But let's just say look, I like working here. Okay, this is a weird situation, but ask if you can work remotely too, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, this person's here. Maybe you don't know the whole situation on like the personal quarantine thing, and they're not asked to wear a mask, or maybe even the doctor is recommending the CDC guidance right now. Like after 5 days, you're just supposed to wear a mask for days 6 through 10. Like so maybe all is good, and you're creating some kind of story that's not actually reality, but you feel some level of uncomfort in being in the office. Then I would just recommend that you also just ask to work remotely.
Yeah.
That's an option.
I think that's definitely good, but I don't know why the other employee has to be the one to,
I just did.
people have got to be responsible.
We
I
have,
don't know. But again,
look,
this is
there's
probably
lots
my
of
personal
managers that
COVID
want
stuff
everybody
coming in.
back in the office. Like there's just so many managers out there in the world that want everybody back. And so I think employees are dealing with like, I don't want to piss like the head guy off if I don't come into the office.
Well, I
Yeah.
just did a contact trace, so somebody was positive. They were boosted.
We're still
They were
doing that?
Boosted. Yeah, I'm still doing that.
Contact tracing?
Only Beth is doing
I am
contact
doing it.
tracing.
And so it's like, hey, just need to let you all know that somebody, you were exposed. And sure enough, every single person that person was exposed to, COVID.
Yeah,
So this whole
yeah.
department is out. Like for the 5 days or whatever. they do.
Yeah.
And it really does impacts business. It does.
It does.
So be thought.
Right. It's
Stay
like
home.
you can have one person out or you can have an entire office
Yeah,
out.
and
Which
it's
would you
like-
prefer?
Exactly. Be
Yeah.
smart,
All right.
I'm over it.
Any other comments about managing COVID? I mean, like as a school nurse, like what do we think?
I want to have like a little Band-Aid supply that I can.
Yes.
Yeah, I
masks
mean,
forever.
I think it's like probably a good topic for a whole nother episode. Just all of, I mean, businesses right now are really up in the air on what to do, right? And we know that the legal guidance and, OSHA laws, and now it's not passed, it is passed. So it's like, it's been really hard on HR professionals,
Yeah.
and it's probably a topic that warrants
And there is a
more
legal aspect
discussion
to it.
around.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and the
And
whole
also
like,
the
do you have
HIPAA.
people sign like waiver? Yeah, there's HIPAA and there's
it's
waivers.
Right.
Like, especially if you're like sending, technicians or you're going out to client visits as a sales rep. Like, we've kind of given up. Like at the beginning, we were super strict about like sign a waiver. Like if you die from COVID after visiting this site, you're not going to sue me. But now we've kind of like, well, screw it. Like it's just
You don't have to wear a
everybody has
mask.
it.
No big
And
deal.
I mean, look at us. We're sitting around.
I
We're
know,
not
it's like
socially
5 inches.
distant.
Been vaxxed
I've got
shit.
somebody.
It's 6
this
inches,
was an
not
interesting
16.
thing. One of my clients had. They were doing patient care, but they were doing patient care, and some people didn't want to go into homes where people were positive.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't.
They sort of didn't think they still had to do the job. I mean,
Yeah,
it was such-
I know. So
it was
sorting through
such
that in a
circle-
healthcare
Yeah.
environment
such a
is
circle, and you're
crazy.
Just like, oh my gosh, they had a valid point, So
Yeah.
I agree with you. This is a huge topic. We should talk about it next time. Because we're
I
Right.
thought we were over it, guys.
Yeah.
Can we just be done? Let's just.
But
put
we
a
think
day-
it might be helpful.
This
All
day,
right.
COVID's over.
Write us in if you think COVID should be a topic for an upcoming episode. I'm voting against it, but if we get enough people to write in, we'll do it. All right. Okay. Oh, this is a juicy one. Super HR nightmare, which is why we saved it for last. So this is from an HR colleague out there. I was hiring an HR manager at my company, and we were all set for her to start, but the background check came back, and dun dun dun, manslaughter popped up from years ago. Okay.
Sorry, we shouldn't be laughing.
When we dug into it, it was a fight that resulted in the other person passing away. Should we have ignored it or passed on this person? And so this is this could be a whole other episode. It's like, what do you do with negative results,
Background
adverse
checks.
results from background checks, and like having this like security matrix on, and definitely this is something that you need to consult with probably an employment attorney on. But like,
Yeah.
if this pops up, then what?
Well, one example is I worked at a manufacturing company a long time ago, plant, and it seemed like almost every one of our employees had something pop up on their background check. So the
Yeah,
plant
check
manager,
fraud. We
Yeah.
used to get like check fraud,
It was a lot.
DUIs.
So the
Lot of
plant
DUIs.
manager
Lots
and
of 'em.
I sat down, and I loved this. I loved this plant manager. He was great, and he's like, "Okay, what can we accept and what can we not accept?" And so we did
Yeah.
make a matrix.
Yeah.
And we were like, we
That's
can't
smart.
do anything with embezzling or taking money, and we can't do anything with anyone physically hurting someone else.
Yeah.
Other than that, come on. And,
Yeah.
and so it was really, but I felt that was a great conversation because we would not be fully staffed if we had a zero.
Right, right.
So we
Yes,
made
you only
those
accept Eagle
decisions.
Scouts.
Yeah, we made that decision, and guess what? It worked out. It was great. That
Yeah.
one is a little hard though because that's.
I
I feel
think
badly
you're
for the
right.
person.
It's really indicative of like what is the job you're hiring them to do?
Yes.
Does it relate? This one, given the situation, I think they're right to pass on the candidate and say we can't move forward with you as a candidate based on the results of your background.
Yeah, I mean, as an HR manager, you are upholding, you're
Yeah.
supposed to basically be like the guiding light of all policy, all.
Your people.
Yeah.
Too, like you're a people like
You're
No,
a people.
yeah.
Yeah.
That to me would be a hard no. We cannot hire you for the job. And I think what you were saying, Beth, is really true. I mean, we looked at all those. I mean, the amount of like DUIs and minor possession, it was usually marijuana or something, right, that we would get was a lot. And so we would have some where we're like, okay, well, they're working in distribution, and part of the distribution is driving. So we probably can't for the DUI. But could they work in a stockroom somewhere? Probably, and this would be fine. So sometimes we would move them to a role that it maybe wasn't an issue. It didn't relate to the job, but we had stuff with like credit, and, embezzlement. I had an embezzlement one time. Story for another day.
You can't take
and
that.
It was a salesperson on the floor. We're like, you take customers' credit cards all day long. You're opening new cards for them where you get all of their personal information and social security numbers. So like,
I mean, we ran into something.
So no.
I don't know if it was 2 years ago or whatever, but like, here's a piece of advice: if you are going to have somebody working in accounting or working in your books, you better do a credit check on that person before they come and work for you, because we've seen it happen many times. I know I've had a conversation with Beth before. I've had a conversation with Amy before. Like we've experienced people that are very dishonest and don't have a level of integrity that it takes to be in an accounting position. Get that position and abuse it.
Yeah.
So, so as far as like for this, so background checks are important if past behavior that could predict future behavior is important to know about. Don't spend the $100 if like you don't think that you need to know anything, or you're serving burgers or you're making milkshakes or whatever and you don't need to know. Okay, fine. But if you're going to put somebody in a leadership position where they have access to your people's personal information, social security numbers, like an HR manager, their payroll, their or a finance position or a leadership position. Yeah, background checks are worth the $100. It's better to know up front and nip it in the bud than get 6 months down the line and regret a decision.
Well, here's an example of regretting a decision.
No regrets?
So we worked with one client, and they had hired this person. Everything was fine. They didn't run background checks. Guy was great. What happened was that person was, what was the word? As I want to do the right legal word. They were awaiting trial on first-degree kidnapping and rape. And
my God.
So they were like,
wow,
we can't really have this person working here. And it was hard because they were working and they were doing great. But what happened was there was somebody Google searched.
Yeah.
And they saw it and it popped right up. So I kind of err on the side of, I guess you can get them down for like $40 to do a background check.
Yeah, it's like $35, $15 for federal.
I think it's a good idea.
Let's try to get a sponsorship from a background check company.
Seriously, it's like that. And it was so they were like, can you come and fire this person? I was like, okay. So I did.
Well, I think like when you say that, not to cut you up, but another great like topic is, what if that situation happens while they're your employee?
Oh, exactly.
Right?
Oh,
well, we're the employees.
As an HR person, how many times did you get like an anonymous
I had that many times
slid
where,
under
like,
your door?
Yeah, we're like,
I was like, I didn't want to see
that.
that.
They did call off for a few days, and then you go and you find out why they were out for a few days, and now all of a sudden, well, what do you do with them now?
Stuck.
Right?
It's really, you have to. That's why it's always good to say we're not attorneys. It's
Absolutely,
like, we are not attorneys. So.
Any of this advice that anybody listening gets from us, take it with a grain of salt and talk to your attorney.
Where's our little legal disclaimer at the bottom?
We are not attorneys.
Gabbi, make sure that there's a disclaimer at the end of this YouTube episode.
That kind of thing happens. I mean,
heck yeah, people go to jail,
all
okay? And like some things that people go to jail for, we can get over, but like some things you can't because they're going to be gone for like 5 or 7 years. So, that's a whole nother episode maybe too. Is like what happens when people get criminal action brought against them before they're employees or while they're employees. And how do you kind of sort through that?
It's hard, though, what you were saying earlier, Amy, about how you have your personal feelings and then you have your job feelings.
Yeah.
And you do feel bad for someone who, I'll believe in redemption. It's like, tomorrow can be a better day, But, oh my gosh, I don't know, you cannot bring that kind of person in. But you feel badly because hopefully they've redeemed themselves, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I was store manager for Nordstrom for, I don't know, half a dozen years. And the number one thing I terminated people for was stealing from our company, right? You know, it's retail.
Nordstrom has great
right.
stuff.
It's retail. It's good stuff. But, you know, you can't take it home with you unless you pay for it.
Yes, you can take it home
And,
for
you know, every
30%
time I'm
discount.
like, listen, I never lost my empathy for those people, you know, and I would always say to the employee when I was terminating them, I'm like, listen, you know, because they would apologize profusely and like, oh, I'm sorry, I disappointed you, Amy, you know, all this stuff. I'm like, and I appreciate that, you know, and here's the thing, I think you have a great future, and I think there's things you can do to redeem yourself from this. You just can't do it here anymore, you know, like it was like always my line. I'm like, you just aren't going to do it here, right?
But
you had your chance.
Yeah.
It's not going to be here, but best of luck to you, you
Well,
know.
I think that's true. I mean, HR people are compassionate. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this.
Yeah.
Because we love people. I mean, most of us do. But I think we love people. But you feel bad.
I hope you love their problems.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
probably
Do you
more.
love their problems?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, well, we're about out of time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just like to wrap it up, any key takeaways?
Yeah, talk to your people, and if you're on the other side as an employer, ask. I think that's one big thing in our conversation today is talk to your people, have those relationships, ask because the answer is no, and you might as well. Or if you don't ask, the answer is no.
It might be no,
Right,
but it
right.
might be yes.
The answer is always no if you don't ask. Yeah.
That's right. How about you? Any key takeaways or?
I think my biggest thing is we're going to have a lot of episodes to come because we've got a lot to talk about.
That's right.
I thought of a dozen different topics all within these 3 questions.
I know.
So, yeah.
How about you?
I'm over COVID.
Yeah. But we're going to do an episode about it. Hey, don't forget to check out Leath HR Group. Go to leathhrgroup.com. Also, please check out our very own Leath HR Group technology, Work Talk, and check us out at worktalk.com. It's an app that makes employee check-ins speedy and easy. Gabbi, any final words?
Yes, so all of our listeners, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit that notifications button so you're notified when our episodes drop. And wherever you're listening from, whatever podcast platform, do the same, subscribe, like, follow, all the good stuff. You don't want to miss out. Obviously, we have some great topics coming up. We got a full calendar year, lots of topics, lots of guest speakers. We're super excited.
All right.
Awesome.
Let's slay those HR nightmares.
Yeah.
Bye.